The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. And as Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to respect our women and to protect our women. Then the only time a Muslim really gets real violent is when someone goes to molest his woman. We will kill you for our woman. I'm making it plain, yes. We will kill you for our woman. We believe that if the white man will do whatever is necessary to see that his woman gets respect and protection, then you and I will never be recognized as men until we stand up like men and place the same penalty over the head of anyone who puts his filthy hands out to put in the direction of our women.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. Today I'm back with Cassidra, and today we got Cassidra's friend here, Heidi. First of all, how you doing, Cassidra? How you doing, Heidi? How y'all doing?
Doing good. Thank you.
I am amazing. Welcome, Heidi. Welcome. We are ready. Doing good, though. Good. Every day is a great day.
Yeah, for sure. So, Cassidra, I'm about to add my phone on here, but you can introduce your friend and tell them what we talking about today and all of that.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to. Well, you guys, I have an amazing young woman. Her name is Heidi Leal, also known as Bendy, okay, which is short for blessed, okay. She's 31, born in Boston, raised in Tampa, and recently started over in North Carolina. She's the proud mom of two daughters, ages 14 and 10, and she is a survivor of domestic violence. And that's why I wanted her to come on, because she's lived it. And this will be an amazing topic for our young women that is either going through something like this, or this will help you to recognize when you're dealing with a man like this, because sometimes we feel it but we're not sure. But somebody could have just met somebody and you're questioning it now. She's going to break it down for us, and if you have any questions, you guys put it in the chat. But she's going to break this thing down for us, and we're going to ask her questions. So if you have questions, put it in the chat so that way we can answer those questions. And we might do a little series on this, because I think this is so important for our little babies. Some high school girls may be in high school and they're going through this, or recognizing some, strange behavior from a guy that, they could have been friends with since childhood. So she's here to kind of break it down for us and give us some understanding on the situation. So Heidi, I know this is your gift here. I'm gonna give you the floor and you just flow.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's definitely an honor to be able to, have the opportunity to share what my experiences was, hoping to, reach others so that they hopefully don't have to go through the same thing. So just a few things I did want to touch on is making sure you know how to recognize those red flags. We're talking about trying to reach out to high school students, and I would say that with this particular person in the situation that's where it started. So you have that sense of grooming that's going to start sometime around there. And then you have triggers, you have family ties. You want to be careful who you mix your kids with. And sometimes, when you go through this type of situation, a lot of people don't talk about the anger and the disappointment that you go through yourself, because you feel like it's your fault that you went through that. But another thing we want to touch on is knowing that it's not your fault. So that's just some things that I want to touch on. But just to start off with, for me, it started in high school. I was best friends with this person. It all started off with Chinese food. And I can say it started off with grooming. So it was, we're best friends, we hang out. I ended up getting pregnant with my first daughter. He was not the father of my first daughter. And either way, he still helped me with my daughter birthdays. If I needed a break, he was there. And then it got to a point where we would talk, we wouldn't talk, you would disappear, you would come back around. There was always a specific excuse, and sometimes that would be okay, right? until it got to a point where one day I was home, he came over, he's like, "Oh, this is my friend so and so." It was a female the entire time. Later down the line, it was a whole female that he was dealing with, and he lied to my face. But yet then that was a red flag at the time. I did not see it, because we should be able to have friends of, the opposite sex. At that time, I didn't see it. So that's definitely where it started. And I was okay with the coming and going, until a point to where it's, hey, now we're going to get serious. And everything you used to do before, you're doing it now, but I turned an eye to it because it's something you already got me used to.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So like when you was like, that was like a red flag, and you mentioned red flags, how do you know like something is a red flag until like, how would you know until less after the fact? How do you know beforehand it would be a red flag?
So I think learning now and looking back then, there's some things that you should question as a woman. There's certain ways that people should go about things that at this point in life, I can look back and like, how did I not see that then? Because I was blinded to the fact, because I might have loved somebody so much. But there's little things like, hey, this is the first time you've brought this person around. I've never heard of this person, and now this person is at my house. Where does this come from? Why I didn't see that as a red flag then, I'm not sure. Now I think we need to be open to our surroundings and how certain men move, because they always have a motive.
When you said grooming, what does that word mean for some people that don't know what that means? What's that look like?
So grooming is getting you used to something, making you used to it to where you turn the cold shoulder to it, or that you no longer feel, well, let me take that back. It's more like you get so used to something that you do turn that blind eye to it. So they get you to do
so
go ahead.
Okay. So for instance, if they're super overly nice.
Yes,
okay, go ahead. I want you to explain more as far as what does that look like when you say grooming. Are they super nice? Are they just, and then all of a sudden they change? Or how long does the grooming take?
Absolutely. So grooming can take months. It can take years. For my instance, it took a good 3 to 4 years to groom me to where we got in a full-time relationship in 2019. And what that looked like was, yes, I'm going to disappear for a week. And when I come back around, I'm going to have everything that I know that you like. For instance, you like to go to a certain place. I'm going to make sure that I have money for you to go here. I'm going to have gift cards for you to go here. Or if there's something that you like to do as a hobby, I'm going to provide that for you, so that when I come and I have this for you, you're no longer going to be mad at me, or you're not going to have anything to say. Or I know that I'm about to go do this, this, and this, so I'm going to tell you this and go do something else instead, and I believe you.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because when you saying, telling, and I'm gonna let you keep telling your story and stuff like that, but like, because even when you're saying it, like, so many people can avoid so many situations by being aware of the red flags, but when you're young or inexperienced, you don't know the red flags, which puts yourself in a lot of trouble, you know what I'm saying? But if we had people to like kind of demonstrate like, hey, when somebody is doing something or you feeling a certain type of way, you feel a certain type of way for a reason. Your emotions are there not to be controlled by them, but they're trying to tell you something, and they're probably trying to help you out in the long run. But it takes experience to be able to learn that. But you can also get experience through other people's stories. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead,
Oh
Heidi.
no, you're fine. I appreciate the input, because that takes me to the point where you know, being able to hear someone else's story, you can kind of be prone to being more open. Like, let me be more aware of my surroundings and how people move and what they're doing. Because if you don't, then we won't notice those red flags. A lot of things that I have learned, within my year of healing, is that you have to be open to that surroundings. You can't just be nonchalant about things. You have to love yourself enough to know, like, hey, this doesn't feel right. I used to get a lot of gut feelings like, oh, he's probably messing around on me, or he's doing this and he's doing this. And then I sit there and think about, like, it's no way he's gonna do that to me. Or I would find things in the phone. It's like, well, what is this? Oh, that's nothing. This is just this. Or that's somebody who hit up my phone, but I haven't talked to them in forever. I just ignored it. So it's all those little things that you get to experience with these certain type of people. And then you might run into somebody that wants to deal with you, but they have a whole family and they're lying about it. And they groom you that way too. Like, oh no, we're not together. I'm just there for the kids. You have that side too that we have to be, open and conscious about. And we have to learn to listen to our gut feeling, because the one thing that I've learned within the last year is that you have to listen to it. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've been in the dating world for the last 8 months now. I've casually dating, going out, getting to know people, and I guarantee you within the first 2 to 3 days, they're on the block list, because I've learned to pay attention to my gut feeling and my conscious and my intuition. And I think that's what a lot of young girls need to start paying attention to be able to notice those red flags.
You said you're dating now.
Not only that,
do you recognize now? You say you're dating now. The guy that you're dating now, does he remotely remind you of the other guy, the last guy?
No, so it's actually a big difference. With my last relationship, I just feel like people will do things that you don't like or that go past your boundaries, and then they're gonna make it up to you at a point. And then you end up being addicted to the highs in the relationship. So you're always looking forward to those times and you get used to it. So it becomes normal to you, right? And you get used to the sense of abuse, that it's no longer abuse to you. It's just normal. In this relationship, or, you feel like you're walking on eggshells. In this relationship, I, not even to say that I'm in a relationship, because like I said, I'm dating, I'm getting to know people. I'm 31, so I'm out here. I'm trying to get to know people. I don't want to settle for anybody, because that's what I did last time, and look how it ended up. Now with the person that I've been talking to, going on a few months, it's like this person gives me the sense of wanting to become somebody more than what I am now. Show me what a man is really supposed to treat you like. I can't remember the last time I took out my garbage. And I live by myself with my daughter. And I can't remember the last time I took out my garbage, because this man will come and take out my garbage for me, even though I can go take it myself. So it's little things like that, or encouraging you to, hey, what do you want to do in the future? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Someone who wants to motivate you to do what you want to do. In my abusive relationship, I'm an entrepreneur. I do nails. I'm a certified medical assistant. I have some paralegal work under my background. I used to want to lose weight, exercise, and this person, for the life of me, would always say, why are you doing this? You're always trying to do so much at the same time. You need to focus on this. And why can't you invest in me how you invest in yourself? And all you do is care about yourself. But in reality, what you're doing is you're trying to better yourself for your children and your family, right? So this is things that an abuser will say. They will make you feel like you care about yourself and not them.
Yeah, I want to ask you this because like I had problems with this, going through my life, right? As far as like boundaries are concerned, because I know a lot of people, especially in our communities and stuff like that, we have a lot of like certain boundaries, you don't cross and you do cross, but I know I can only speak for myself, right? Where I had hard times creating boundaries, but boundaries are there to protect yourself, So like, could you
Right.
talk about like that part about like boundaries and stuff like that, and like then starting to violate your boundaries and stuff?
So as far as boundaries, I could touch a little bit on it because I just started learning about holding boundaries for myself. And to this day, I still struggle with it. There's this lady that I
Me
call
too.
my TT. Yes, it's a struggle every single day. But there's this lady that I met almost over a year ago. I call her my TT. And I will sit here and I can call this woman at any time that I need to. And I will sit here and have conversations with her because I might question certain things that, I see in my current relationship. And I'm like, what do you think about this? I'm like, am I tripping? And sometimes you think it's your triggers from your last relationship, but then you're noticing that now that you know red flags, you're wondering, do I set a boundary for this, or is setting a boundary too much, or am I pushing it, right? So boundaries can be as simple as, I know for a fact that I don't want a man calling me out my name. Hands down, if you call me out my name, you're crossing a boundary for me. That's disrespectful. You don't respect me as a woman. And you don't value me at all, because if you're okay with, disrespecting me, that means that you're okay with anybody out in the street disrespecting me, no matter what that situation is. So that's one boundary. Another boundary is, respecting yourself and loving yourself. In order for you to set boundaries, I feel like you have to love yourself and respect yourself enough to be able to do that. And I'm at that point now, like I'm learning to love myself. I'm healing. I'm learning to set boundaries for me so that I don't let anyone cross that boundary again. So as far as you raising your voice at me, like if you raise your voice at me and we can't have a civil conversation, it's healthy to have disagreements. I feel like it's not a healthy relationship if you don't have disagreements, but it's the way that we're going to sit down and talk about this. It's not what you're saying. It's the level, the tone, how you're speaking to me. That's a boundary right there. Because if I'm not yelling at you, cussing at you, disrespecting you, why are you doing it to me? You must want me to do this to you as well, right? And that's where the tip and tack comes in the domestic violence relationship. Because you did this to me, now you got me messed up, so now I'm going to go back and do something else to you, right? So that's how it starts, when you feel like a boundary was crossed.
Yeah, and because I want to ask you this, it kind of get back to your story too, because you mentioned like a part of boundaries is like self-love and stuff like that. You have to love yourself. The boundary is really for you, to protect
Correct.
yourself. And because I want to be like, because I understand too, like sometimes people, like a lot of people, I'll speak for myself, have suffered with negative thoughts. Like you think, oh, I'm not worthy, I gotta prove myself, I gotta get validation from other people and all of this stuff. So you don't have boundaries, and sometimes you don't even respect others' boundaries because you don't understand, like, just logically about boundaries. Well, maybe you understand logically but not emotionally, but like, so when some of the stuff was going on, and if you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, like when some of the stuff started escalating, like what happened, and like what were some of the thoughts in your head, or like, with some people that struggle with boundaries, like with the negative self-talk part of it and the self-love part.
So I think, answering that and going back to my story as well, as, you know, when it started getting to that violent point, I remember moving back to Florida with my parents because I was living in Boston. And my grandmother had just passed away in 2019. And I said, you know what? My parents are getting older. I have 2 little girls. I'm out here by myself. I'm going to move back to Florida. I'm going to go be closer to my parents. So I moved back to Florida. I'm in the house with my parents. I'm staying there until I could save up to get an apartment. Kid you not, it took me no more than 2 months to get it. But one night I was home and I was on Tag. It's a dating website. I don't know if people know about that. But I was on there and, you know, I was live. I was getting ready to go on a date. And here I am. I'm getting ready and somebody comes in the chat and they're like, you ain't going nowhere. You got me messed up. And I'm like, who is you to tell me where I can and cannot go? That's a red flag too. Like, you find me and then you're already telling me what I can and cannot do. So I'm like, I started spazzing, like, who is you? This and this and that. He was like, oh, look at the picture. And I saw that it was my daughter's father. And I'm like, okay. I said, oh, snap, y'all. He's right. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going out. So then after that, we ended up going out. We ended up spending like a whole weekend just out on the town. Ended up getting the apartment. I'm like, well, are you going to move in with me? And that's where I messed up, because now I'm trying to do wife things for a man that cannot provide for me, right? So that's another thing we want to do. We might be infatuated, or we might be just in a crush stage with somebody so much that you want to show them why you're worth it. And you want to show them why you're worth it so bad, that you're giving these privileges without them earning it. And then when they start treating you a different type of way, then you're like, well, I was showing him why I was worth it. Why am I not worth it now? Why do you treat me this way? So we lived in the apartment probably for a good 4 to 5 months before I made the mistake and let his mom move in with us. And that's when the violence, the physical violence, started. So that's another thing. You want to, I feel like it's okay to have a relationship with your mom, your dad, your parents, your family. But if you're allowing those people to get in the middle of your relationship, then that's also a problem, because your mom is encouraging you to do these type of things. And that's where we go with family ties.
Yeah. You want to say something?
Let me ask you a question. I'm asking, what do you think triggered him to start the abuse? Was it his mom that triggered him, you think?
So I believe there was some family things going on with his family around that time that happened, that he figured some stuff out. He also, you know, not putting too much of his business out there, but he did some time for something that he honestly did not do. You know, he did some time for his sister. And in that time, you know, people work hard for a living. And this is not making excuses for anybody, because nothing about what he did was right. I could say with the growth I understand, his sister stole over $500,000 from him. And I feel like those little things that he went through and that the family did him dirty and triggered him, and what he went through in prison stemmed off of, now you're the closest person to me. Now I'm going to take all my anger out on you, because I'm that person that's there every day, even though I do everything for you and I provide for you and I make sure you eat and you have a house over your shoulders, and I do your laundry and you don't have to worry about this, and you can use my car. And this was somebody that had nothing going for himself. It's time for you to get a job. You don't want to get a job because it's not paying enough. Well, why not just get what you can get now and then find something better while you're working? No, you just want to sit and mooch, right? So this is some of the things that they do.
Wow. So let's talk about, go ahead. You can continue your story. Wow. This is amazing.
You're good. So just on that, I would say that maybe his triggers, you know, because I don't know, I feel like to this day he still has some problems. He had a lot of pressure on him, and he used me to let go of that pressure. I was that punching bag. I was that person that you was able to cuss out, go off on, and everything, because I was a person that was right there. But I was also that person that was trying to understand what you were going through and said that, oh, it's okay. thinking that he was never going to do it again. And it happened again and again and again. And it causes a trauma bond. So at this point, you keep going back to this person because you have a trauma bond. Anytime something happens, it feels
And what's a
normal.
trauma bond? What's that?
So for me, a trauma bond is more like, hey, we went through this before, and now it's like your vulnerability leaves you at the same time, right? But a trauma bond is more like, you just made me go through this. But because we went through this and we got through it together and we went through it again, we can do it again. And it's like when you have a friendship, a bond with somebody, and you know that I can go 2 months without talking to you, and I can talk to you 2 months later, and our bond is still strong. We're bonded together because we built a strong friendship. So over here, we're bonded together because of the verbal abuse or because of the physical abuse or because we scream and yell at each other. And this is the only way we know how to talk to each other. It's toxic.
No, you said something interesting, like about even when you get into his past and like why he's doing it, because and we look at because we should look at it on both sides too, you know, like where a lot of times
Yes.
people are taking out trauma on somebody else, you know. But do you think that the people who like accept trauma, like it don't even have to be like oh, I was beaten every day as a child, but you may have been neglected because we didn't, especially in our community, didn't understand about, as Cassidra talks about, the love languages and how you're supposed to love your children. So do you think is like trauma on the other side with the people who are going back to the abusive relationships? Do you think it's like, you know, something like trauma there too, like with their childhood or something?
Like with how their parents or their family might have treated them?
Right, right.
I would have to say yes. And the only reason I say that is from the experience of me growing up and the way that I treat my children now, right? So I'm adopted. By the glory of God, you know, I was a premature baby. My biological mom was a druggie. I had like over 15 drugs in my system when I was born. And my biological dad was in and out of the prison system, ended up getting deported to the Dominican Republic. At one point in time, you know, I've been with my parents since before I was born. You know, my godparents worked for the DSS office, and that's how my parents got me. So, you know, at this point, when my biological dad got out of prison, the judge granted him visitation with me, right? So I got so used to this man coming to pick me up. I got to see my blood brothers and sisters. But also while I was going there, I had a sense of neglect, right? Because it's just like, if you're my dad, where have you been this whole time? And then it started going to the point of, hey, you're supposed to come and get me and you don't come and get me. You leave me waiting on the steps for hours. Don't call to tell me that you're going to come and get me, right? So now I'm looking for some sense of security and someone that's not going to neglect me. But then I'm used to that neglect because that's what my biological father taught me, that it's okay to stand me up and leave me waiting.
Yes. So that's so important. Man, that is so important what you just said. It's how your dad treated you. And because of my dad was a rapist, right? So he wasn't there. So it's almost like you attract emotionless men or men that neglect you or men that abuse you in some type of way because that's what your father did. So it does have a lot to do with childhood and the way that daddy issues, we could say. That's what we had, father issues. And having those father issues, and they were never healed. So that's what you begin to attract to yourself.
Exactly. You even to this day, I despise my biological father. I don't like him because at the end of the day, you weren't there for us when we were growing up. But now you're in the Dominican Republic. You've had a bunch of kids, and you call us, your grown children, to send you money or to send you stuff for you to sell. Who are you to contact us when you couldn't be there for us and you want us to be there for you now? So that's something I still haven't healed from. And it's okay to not heal from some things sometimes, but eventually you have to get there. But sometimes you have to put in perspective and importance. What do you need to heal from more important first, right? And then growing up with my parents who adopted me, love them to death. Like, I was a torture to them people. And I'm a mommy girl for real. But I acted in certain type of ways in my childhood where, yes, my parents had to put a belt to me. Yes, my parents had to yell at me. Yes, they had to put me in my place because I was a child that was trying to be grown. I was trying to be like something that I wasn't raised to be. I got yelled at a lot. And I'm not going to say it was my parents' fault. It was my fault that I got yelled at a lot. But now, you know, raising my kids, sometimes I want to yell at my kids. And sometimes I have to take a step back and say, you know what? No, I can't yell at them because this is something I said that I didn't like when I was growing up. So that was a trauma for me and a boundary for me to where it's like, if I start yelling at my kids, they're probably going to start feeling the same way that I was feeling when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know, my kids have already seen a lot. That's something else, right? You want to be careful who you mix your blood with. Because, you know, I have my kids, I have beautiful daughters. My youngest is a replica of me. You would think that I had her myself. And my youngest has witnessed a lot. To the point where, you know, a lot of people don't talk about it, but I got my kids taken away from me from the DCF system in Florida for 3 years. As a testimony, I just got reunified with my kids July 10th of 2025. I fought 3 years for my children. And that's me being a victim, right?
So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that's a blessing right there.
Thank you. I fought and fought and fought. And one thing that I don't want, you know, a lot of people do have kids in high school. I went to a technical high school where I was able to take my kids to school with me on the bus. There was a daycare. So, you know, a lot of us are having these kids at a young age nowadays. And it's like, let's normalize that it's okay to let go of somebody that's not healthy for you, even though you have the baby. But, you know, my daughter has witnessed a lot. Not gonna lie, I'm alive today because of my daughter. She was around during an incident. In the instance while she was taken away, I was granted unsupervised visits, and I had her at home one day. And he ended up showing up to the house, and it got physical, and he was on top of me, and I was getting choked out, and I was literally at wit's end. I was seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. All I remember hearing was a soda can pop. And the next thing you know, I was wet because she took the soda can and she popped it open and she poured it on top of her dad's head. And she said, "Get the F off my mommy, you stupid B." So if it wasn't for that and her screaming at the top of her head and him almost inhaling the soda that was going over his head, I would have been dead. You know, that's one instance.
How did that affect your daughter?
Oh my gosh. It definitely affects her in a way where I have to understand that I have not only myself but him, but I have put my child in a position to be able to see that, to be able to experience that. So trauma for her is, or triggers for my daughter would be screaming and yelling at her. You literally have to baby her. You cannot scream or yell at her because it will give her it will give her flashbacks.
Have you put your daughter into therapy?
Yes. So both of my daughters have been in therapy. I myself have been in therapy for over 3 years. It's been on and off. I did lose Medicaid at one point, so I couldn't afford therapy, right? And sometimes, you know, you have to go through life without being able to get what you need. But I've been actively in therapy for about 1.5 years now, and I meet with my therapist once a week. And sometimes it gets to the point where I have to text her and be like, "I can't wait till our session this week. Can we chat?" And she's available for me. And I think that's very important, being able to have somebody to talk to and open up to. The importance of a therapist for me, the way I explain it to everybody is sometimes we feel certain type of way and we want to say certain type of things, but we don't know if we're going to cross the other person's boundaries, right? Because if we cross somebody else's boundaries, that can also lead towards triggers for the other person. So having a therapist, I can literally sit down with my therapist, say whatever it is that I feel, and it's like writing something on a piece of paper and burning it so that I don't hurt that other that other person's feelings or cross their boundaries or be a trigger for them, I know that I can say whatever I need to say to my therapist and it's gone. I didn't have to hurt nobody.
Well,
Yeah,
as
that's
far as your daughter, have you recognized her triggers?
So yes, and you know, we've only been together since July 10th now. I picked her up on
Okay.
July 10th from Florida. So we've only been together over a little bit over a month and a half, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I, we both have to learn each other again. We've been
Wow.
separated for 3 years. Now we weren't separated completely. Like I'm still very active in my kids' life for those 3 years. They just weren't living with me, right? And the system really does treat you like a criminal when you have your kids in these situations and you're a victim.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yes. So for me, it's realizing that my daughter does not like when I yell at her. Another thing that I noticed with her is like I might pick her up from school and she gets in the car rider line. I'm like, hey, how was school? And she might have an attitude. And I'll be like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And you continue to ask this person what is wrong. And now they start getting aggravated with you because they don't want to be bothered. So another trigger for my daughter is because she always see me or her dad, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And then it will end up saying, why do you keep asking me
Mhm.
what's wrong? Leave me alone. And then it starts this kind of thing. So
Oh,
I feel like that's a reason she does not like me asking her what's wrong all the time.
yeah,
wow.
and
That's a trigger for her. That reminds her of the past. Okay. That is so wow.
no, I mean,
Yeah. And it could take
that's
her back
that's.
to the time, when
No, go ahead,
go ahead,
Cassandra.
forecast. No, I was just thinking, as far as her daughter, she's got a lot because I'm sure she's seen a lot. And her being angry, um, a lot could be because of some situations, and not even just with you. Maybe situations as far as who kept her. Was it a family member who kept her while you weren't there?
So what's crazy is when my kids got taken away, they came and took my kids 3 days after the situation, the big situation happened. They came and took my kids away 3 days later. They went with my sister at first. My oldest sister, one of my older sisters, she took both of the kids. And the system is so messed up.
Mhm.
That when you need help
Yes.
and you really need help, they don't want to help you until it's too late. Or they wait, or you
Mm,
ask for help and they don't want to help you. And then once it's too late, it's like, oh, we should have helped her. Right. So
wow.
that's a lot of things we don't look at either. Is and then we
Mm,
have to normalize asking for help. Um, Not only asking for help, but a lot of people, judged me for a long time on why did I stay for so long. But we don't, everybody is in a different situation when they go through this, right? Some are more severe than others. um Sometimes you can't just up and leave how people expect. You're like, oh, it's easy, go to a shelter. Oh, it's easy, you can come and stay with me. I had a friend that opened her doors up for me once. I was able to go to my parents' house another time. My sister got me a hotel once. I was able to drive somewhere the other time. So I had opportunities. I had those windows. I asked God for those windows, and there was always those little windows of opportunities that I could go, I could escape. But when you overlook the whole situation, that wasn't the window for me because it was just a window. It wasn't a door. It wasn't time for me to leave because if
mm,
I would have left at that time, I would have been dead. And that's a
mm,
lot of things that people don't look at.
Yeah, and I'll say
mm,
this, because that's why I had Cassidra on here. We talk about the generational traumas and like how you see stuff. I remember seeing stuff as a child that I didn't even know affected me until I realized like, yo, I need to go to therapy too, which I think that we all need some form of therapy, like y'all was talking about, because the thing is, right, it's like you said, your child watching that, and then they're growing up with it, that's why we have to take our time and be careful about passing down our generational traumas and healing ourselves before we start going out there, because like, let's be real, like, people are crazy out here. You never know what people are going through. And like, people have mental issues and like depressants and like, all sorts of stuff, especially within our communities, because all of the history behind it. So
Mm.
then you have like the parents and stuff, like, you have like maybe the father who has like a violent tendencies, violent kind of, past violent history, and
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know these people, but we have this infatuation phase where you don't really know this person, but you feel like you have all of these emotions for them.
Yes.
So like, that's why we have to take our time before like even having children and all of that stuff, because it's going to be a point where you're going to start seeing like, well, it's going to be red flags there, from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's gonna be times where that person be like, "Yo, I thought I knew this person when I don't." But I don't know. So, what did you think about that?
So, um, repeat the question for me one more time. Just break it down for me one
Well,
more
I guess
time.
it wasn't really a question. I'm just saying, like, just as far as like, us, why, like, taking our time, as far as like, like now when you're saying you're dating and you just
Yes.
taking your time now and getting yourself healed and realizing the things that you have to heal from in order not to, as best as you can, not to pass down trauma, more traumas or whatever to your child. And how you
Yes.
seem like how your daughter saw how her father was acting in situations, and then you start reliving that, and then when we start dating each other, we're all just reliving the trauma that we all seen as children, and we wonder why we
Yes.
have a hard time.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, right? I feel like if you are gonna get in that dating pool after being in an abusive relationship, you definitely have to be somewhat healed. You don't want to get into that dating field and still have a lot of wounds, because then you could tarnish that future relationship. But you also want to make sure whatever you're getting into won't affect your children going forward. I've been talking to this person before that, they could meet my kids, because I need to see you around your kids and how you're going to be. But, we don't talk about it being able to be healthy or knowing what to look for in that next relationship. I think we need to be able to normalize speaking up. Something that I used to do was not speak up, right? So now that I am in the dating world, one thing with the current person that I'm talking to, which is kind of still a problem, is communication, right? So I feel like
Mm.
if we're in a position um, that we are talking, right? I feel like that it's a problem if we go 2 to 3 days without talking to each other. A week, even worse. I feel like that if we are in that situation and you say you care about me how you should, it takes 7 seconds to send me a voice message, or to type a voice message on, hey Siri, send Heidi a message saying, hey, I'm busy right now, but I'm gonna get back to you later. Or hey, I'm not coming to the house today. That's a problem, because if you're going days without talking to me, who else is entertaining you? We have to be able to
Mm.
normalize that too and speak up about it. But I'm in a position now where I'm able to sit down and say, hey, I've noticed that, sometimes you go days without communicating, or I text you and you read the message, but you don't text me back, but you're on social media. You have to normalize being able to be open about things. One of my problems was holding things in. And then once I got mad and I reached my wits' ends, I spill everything that's bothered me in the last 2 to 3 months. I'm gonna blow up now, because I didn't learn how to let that go and communicate about it when I needed to communicate about it.
Well, even with that said, how long did you wait before you started dating again after your situation?
So I officially left physically, like in a physical standpoint. I physically left that situation October 22nd of 2024 is the day that I drove to North Carolina. So that's physically the day that I left that relationship, right? Mentally and emotionally, I was gone from that relationship a year prior. And a lot of times females aren't looking to leave until they're completely done. They're at their wits' end. You tried everything you could because, you know, a lot of people don't think about it. But when you're in a relationship with somebody and you have a kid with someone and you have so much invested, you don't want to leave. And I can say this now because I've grown and I've matured and I've talked to it with my I've talked about it with my therapist a lot. But it's the sense of I did all this for you. And it kind of takes me back to the Tyler Perry movie with Taraji P. Henson. I did all this for you. I've spent all this time, all this money. I've taken care of you. And you think you're going to leave me to do it for somebody else? And you couldn't do it for me? That's how I used to think. Not knowing my self-value and my self-worth. Because now when I talk to a man, I'm the table. I'm the table. So what can you put on me? Because I'm the table. It's not what can I put on the table for you. I'm already the table. I'm already bringing you so much. And I think that if we can realize that as young women, then we can go so much further together. But I'm the table. So what are we doing together to multiply this table, make this table bigger, make it fruitful, make it full? It's not really what I can do for you or what you can do for me. It's this table, and what are we going to do to bring this table together?
So do you kind of have your standards as far as knowing what you will and what you will not put up with? And can you be true to that? Because it still seems like it's still kind of soon to be dating, but can you be true to yourself and not just be dating because you're lonely, but be dating because you're looking for, I'm trying to see how I want to put up my question. I'm not seeing, okay, let me start over. You know how you date, you go through your traumas, right?
Yes.
And you're single for a minute, but it's still, the residue is still there. That's what I want to say.
Like you want to be with somebody. I would say that since I was little, I've always struggled with being alone. And, you know, I didn't start dating as soon as I came out to North Carolina, but there was a point in time when I first got out here. You know, I got out here October 22nd. I moved into my apartment October 31st. I got my key to my townhouse. I was so blessed. And I went through a point in time where I was in here by myself. I was in here for Thanksgiving by myself. I was here for Christmas by myself. I was by myself. I went through these holidays by myself. But I had to notice that God brought me to North Carolina. God was telling me for months to come to North Carolina, and I was being disobedient to him. And when I finally came, I had to realize that God has been trying to put me in this space of isolation for some time. And the isolation wasn't because of anything. It was more for me. It was for my healing and noticing that, hey, it's okay to be by yourself. It got a point in time, you know, I was a young mom. I had my first kid at 15. I was pregnant at 14, had her at 15. And I had to grow up very fast. I've been living on my own apartment since I was 15 and everything. So I didn't get to have the childhood that I wanted. Go to college, stay in the dorm room, get to go to parties. I didn't get to have that experience. So now I feel like I'm able to notice a lot more. I'm able to decipher a lot more. And even though I didn't start dating as soon as I got here, I was isolated for a reason. I learned to love myself in that season that I was isolated. My hair grew. My skin got clear. I started losing weight, but the good way. Like, it's so much that happened in that time of isolation. I learned to get closer to God. It was more of a focus on what do I need to do to get my children back. I didn't want to move to North Carolina. God told me to move to North Carolina. Not only that, if I wouldn't have moved, I would have never gotten my children back because they kept trying to say that I was still with my abuser. So I had to move. I
Okay.
had to do what I had to do to get my children back. And I definitely learned to love myself. To this day, I'm still learning to love myself. Like, I just started to embrace my natural curly hair. If it was me months ago, I'm putting in some braids, a wig. But now I'm getting the person that I'm talking to embraces the natural person that I am. So it's like, oh my gosh, I just noticed that I'm starting to embrace my natural curly hair a lot more. When did that start? When I had someone start to embrace the flaws that I thought that were flaws. They're not flaws. I thought they were flaws because of how the other person treated me. The other person cheated on me and then said to my face, "Oh, I'm not cheating on you. This is just this." So now you have me looking at the mirror at myself like, well, am I ugly? Am I too skinny? Am I too fat? Am I not the right color? Am I doing something wrong? So you start to question yourself, right? And I feel like now, even in the dating room, like I said earlier, within the first 2 to 3 days, I was blocking men. Oh, absolutely not. And it's not because, I feel like if you want something sexual and you're lonely, you can get that from anybody. I don't promote that now. I promote, being abstinent until you find that right person, because the world is crazy right now. But building on what I'm building on now, I can say that me and this person have not been that we haven't been in contact like that as you think one would, but it's more of a building an empire, right? Like, hey, what plans do we have? Are we going to start a business together? What kind of business are we going to have? How long is it going to be till we get here? What kind of conversations are we having at the end of the night? Are we able to open up to each other? Can you support me? Can I support you? And it's not about, with me, it's not about money. It's not about the sex. It's not about any of that, right? It's what are we doing to motivate each other and to help each other grow? And because you're stimulating my mind and you're teaching me things and you're showing me self-worth and self-value, and you're making my mind think about things and be more intrigued in things that I probably would have never done before. That's a man, right? A man that's going to encourage you to do better. A man that sees that you have potential and wants to help you get that potential growing, So like with me, I'm a cook. Everybody loves my cooking. Now I have a person that's, hey, you need a food truck. What are we going to do to get you this food truck? Let's start selling foods.
Yeah.
You want to look for someone that's going to motivate you and that's going to empower you. There's a difference. That abuser, why are you doing this? Oh, you care about yourself. Why you can't do this for me first?
Okay. Even with that, let me ask you this: with this new young man, have you noticed that some of the old behaviors is coming up as far as with you? And if you are you recognizing it when it shows up? And how are you dealing with it?
So yes, that's a really good question, right? Because most people might not ask that question. But as far as me, yes, I'm telling you, I give all praise to my therapist because she helps me through this, and my TT Angie as well. I struggle with this daily because I can see something. I might not like something he did, or I'll see something and I'll start tripping like, oh, he's probably talking to somebody, or he's probably out there in the streets doing this, this, and that. This man has 3 businesses. What business do I have thinking that this man is out here doing something else when he shows me what it is, right? So for me is, like I said, I might not talk to you for a full day. Well, what are you doing? Well, if you're not talking to me, who are you talking to? I've even questioned, well, if you're not having sex with me, who are you having sex with, right? And this is all triggers from my previous relationship, because I was at a point to where it's like, if you're not doing with me, then who are you doing it with, right? And that's triggers that I still fight with to this day. I question things, or I might see a pattern. He might do a little something that my ex might have did, and I'll be like, oh no, like TT Angie, am I tripping? Or is this contradictive? Or what do you feel like this is, right? And you start to question yourself. And that's what I did a lot in my last relationship. But I'm healthy enough now that I can at least talk to somebody. I can talk about it to somebody.
Okay.
Before I couldn't do that. I would keep it bottled up.
Okay. So I understand. Okay. So when you recognize it, what are you doing about it to stop it from happening again? Because sometimes we can, apologize and say, "Oh, I'm sorry for doing that," or "I really didn't mean to do that," and you say, "I'm not going to do it again." But it's hard if that piece of you is not healed up. It's hard not to do it again until
Correct.
that certain area is healed. What are you doing to heal that area? You know what I'm saying? What steps are you taking to make sure, or to recognize, that trigger, or to recognize that trigger that he did to trigger you, so that you don't go into that spasm? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So I have learned to not react so quickly now.
Mm. Mhm.
That is a very big importance because sometimes us females, our pride is big. For one, I'm a Gemini. Okay, a lot of people say we're two-faced, but we're not two-faced. You just have, I have a big heart. I'm gonna take my shoes off if that's the last pair of shoes I have, my shirt, my bra, whatever I have. If it's the last that I got and you need it, I'm gonna give it to you. But the second that you cross me, yes, you're gonna see that other side of me because
Mhm.
now I feel like you crossed me. So now I like to evaluate where my thoughts are coming from. Like, why do I feel like this?
Mhm.
Is there a reason
Mhm.
why I feel like that
Yeah,
triggered me?
yeah,
He did
yeah.
this. Why do I feel this
So
way?
you're
Oh,
paying attention to
because
your body.
yes, I pay attention to my body. I'm more conscious. Um, Sometimes my heart rate will accelerate, or sometimes my stomach, like with me, if I feel something coming on, my stomach goes into shambles, and I have to listen to my stomach. I have to listen to my stomach, or I have to
Mm.
listen to my body. My body likes to shake, and that's my body telling me, hey, something's not right, something's going on, something's about to happen.
Yeah,
I used to look back
yeah.
at those back in the day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't feel good. What's going on? And go to sleep and sleep through the depression or whatever it is that's going on that I can't figure out. Now,
Mm.
okay, I'm
Wow.
shaking or my stomach hurts. What has been going on today or the last few days that's making my body feel this way? Because it's not that I don't feel good, I feel fine, but my body
Yes.
is
Wow.
sensing something.
Yeah. So
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
no, yeah, and I want to ask you
Go ahead for.
yeah, I want to ask because I want to both of y'all opinion, and it's like a two-part thing, right? So like the first part, and I'm gonna show you something on the screen. I'm gonna share the screen real quick. I saw this the other day before any of this stuff happened. Now let's say this sister here, the Latricia Green, she was asking for an order of protection from her ex-husband, but it was denied, and so it's saying her ex-husband killed her inside the hospital, and I ain't gonna play the news story or whatever, but it's right here. But she was asking for a protection order, and I do understand, especially for like black women, is
Mm.
harder to get that, but like what do you think of that, like especially in that type of situation?
For one, I think that is devastating because I feel like some of us, um, we ask for protection and we don't get it, right? I have had a lot of
Mhm.
encounters with law enforcement due to domestic violence. Um, in one stance where I was arrested. I was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because I was protecting myself. But that goes back to saying that I let his
Mm.
mom move in with us, right? So because his mom went and
Mhm.
wrote a statement, I went to jail, even though I was the one that was pushed in through the drywall and you could see my body print in the wall. I still went to jail.
Mm.
And another thing to learn too nowadays with law enforcement is whoever calls first, you're good. The other person's gonna go to jail. So make sure you call
Oh
first, right?
wow.
You want to be vocal
No
first.
matter what. Hold on. What you say? So you're telling me that if he slapped you first and then go and call the police, or beat the hell out of you, then go call the police, you going to jail. But he ain't
Yeah.
got
So
no bruises, but you do.
let's say he slapped me,
Girl.
and now I'm putting my hands back on him. but he called the cops first, or his mama called the cops, and they come because they're the people that called first, and they got testimony. Oh, they did this. They was fighting. She put his hands on him. In this case, I pulled a knife out. Even though I was the one that was thrown in the wall, I got arrested. I went to jail. And this was years ago. This was when it first started. This was the first incident ever. I'm the first one who went. So you would have thought that the problem was me, right? But it wasn't. I wasn't the problem. I was just simply trying to defend myself and my children who were in that home. So now it's like you ask for this help and they don't want to help you. They think you're the problem, right? Or there's been other instances where you do want to go to that courthouse or they don't give you that protection order. Or you do call and they'll be like, well, can you guys sort this out? And we don't got to come back tonight and y'all be good. But you're like, literally like, please take him. My last incident was right. My last incident was June of 2023. And we were living together and we had a little duplex or whatever. And this day he was going ballistic. So I locked my door. I locked the front door because I'm like, you know what? When you calm down, you can come back in the house because you're not going to be in the house with this crazy mess. No. Wow. So he was so irate that he broke the windows to the house. Oh. He was kicking in the door. You know how the door has 6 panels? He kicked one of the panels into the door and he crawled through the panel because the door was jammed. I was sitting in the bathroom. When I tell you I'm sitting in the bathroom doing my business, my pants is down, my phone is in my bra. But I told him, I'm like, if you don't stop, I'm gonna have to call the cops because now you're breaking the windows to the house. He crawled in. He came in the bathroom. I have no pants on. I'm sitting on the toilet. The phone is in my bra. He's grabbing my pants, trying to find the phone. He puts his hands in my bra looking for the phone. He tries to grab it. So then he goes and slams my phone. So now we're fighting over the phone. And he drags me into the bath and he drags me into my daughter's room, which was literally parallel to the bathroom. So now we're fighting in my daughter's room. The kids weren't there. Clearly, we didn't have the kids. I fall on top of my daughter's bike. Now we're fighting. Like when I tell you I'm getting all types of things thrown at me, a full, like those 40 load laundry detergent things at my head, everything, to the point where I still to this day have bite mark bruises on my body. They won't go away. I have them everywhere. I had to crawl out that same panel that he kicked in. I got in my car to drive away. I could only drive probably like 2 blocks away because this was in West Tampa because all 3 of my tires were slashed. I had to call the cops. By the time I pull over at the closest gas station because my car was no longer drivable, I'm looking at my body and I'm just in shock because I see blood everywhere. Like, and it was crazy. And I called the cops and I'm just like crying. And the amount of people, they're like, do you want to get back in your house? Like, what are we doing? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I know he's in there because my dog was there too. They surrounded my house with SWAT. It was over, I believe it was like over 35 cops at my house surrounded with SWAT. He wouldn't come out the house. They had to bust my door down. They let the canine go on him. And I would never forget what the cop said. And I could say out of all my years of going through abuse, this was one cop that stood up for me. Now, I don't support police brutality, but there are those good cops out there that it's like you're putting your hand on a woman and you're going to the most extent to damage a woman that, no, you're going to get what's coming to you. They released the canine on him. Okay. And he had over, I don't know how many bite holes in his arm. And I remember the cop telling me, like, Heidi, don't blow don't blow the ball when we go to court. I'm doing this for you. Like, I'm taking him to court. We let this dog loose. Like, he's gonna know what it's like for him to get bitten. Yes. Don't say nothing. Yes. Yep. Awesome. So, and it's stuff like that, that's definitely the one time that I had a cop that was like really on my side. Like, nah, you can't treat women like this. All these other cops that used to come out, they didn't care. That's so sad, but this is how people get hurt, seriously, because what would have happened if you would have been like,
I'm going to protect myself. Just like the young lady that we just saw, would she still have been alive? Because a lot of this is done on purpose when they tell Black women that you can't get a protection order. Why not? You think if would you have said that if I was something else? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if she was not, if she would have had protection in her house to protect herself, things would have been a lot different for her, I believe.
Correct. I
So
believe
why
that
is
as
it
well.
that, why is it that, you don't have the protection that you need in situations like this?
I mean,
Did you ever think
I'm
about,
not even gonna lie.
okay, I
I've
need to do
had
something?
the entire time I've had protection, right? I have my concealed to carry. I did executive
Oh wow,
security
okay.
and all of this. And that goes to this other point, right? If you are a firearm holder, what are you doing to ensure that your firearm is protected and with you at all times, and that other person can't get a hold of it? Why? Because I've had a gun put to my forehead, my own gun put to my forehead in front of my child and in front of his mother and his sister. Did anyone do anything about it? No.
Wow.
But at that time, what did I do to make sure that my weapon was on my body at all times? But at some point too, I always carry my weapon on my person, whether it's in my purse or in my back. This time it was in my purse. Guess what? The person was able to snatch all my stuff from me and throw me out the car, and then you outside arguing with me, and now you have my firearm. So it's like, what are we doing to protect ourselves, but protect the peace that we have
Wow.
to protect ourselves?
Yeah, right. So
And
protecting
then
your
we're
peace.
called,
Yeah.
us Black women, us
Wow.
colored women, us Latinas, Afro Latinas, we're always called, dramatic or extra, or that we're doing the most, but they don't look at how we're really treated.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Wow.
see, and this now I got a question for both of y'all, right? Because and this is the conversation though, because first of all, that we don't have some kind of thing that we can call ourselves. We can't really expect like the police to really help us in a lot of situations, especially like the cops don't care about either one of us and probably kill both of us if they could.
Right.
But um there are
Absolutely.
situations too where like I had like a friend, like I've been in a situation myself, right, where it was like this mixed woman I was like friends with and stuff like that. And we like even the arguments we got wasn't even that serious, but like most of it was because it was like some anti-black stuff or whatever, what I'm saying. But later on this person said like lied and tried to get me kicked out or whatever, saying that I did, because I've never been violent with any woman or never done anything like that too. So like I've seen where sometimes women will use like the system to like try to hurt you or to try to get you back. So like that's why, but I also recognize like if a dude hit my sister, she should go down there and get an order of protection and be able to like get protected at the same time. So like what do y'all think about something like that kind of situation?
Well, I feel like you should have your proof. A lot of times, if there's not enough proof, that order of protection is not going to get it's not going to get approved. So every chance you get, if you have I've always said I wasn't a cop caller until I learned that I'm about to lose my life. I'm gonna call the cops. Normalize calling the cops, getting that police report, getting that documentation, so that if you do need to get an order of protection, you're able to do so. I think we need to normalize that too, saying that it's okay. It's okay to call the cops because it's your life or theirs, right? And if you do take matter into your own hands, sometimes people can fight it out. Yes, it was self-defense. At times they're gonna be like, oh no, let's say it's a history of domestic violence, and you do take it into your own hands and you do shoot this person and you don't have that record of documentation, then what? It's just gonna be like, oh no, she just killed him just to kill him. But if you have these orders, you have these police records, you've gone multiple times to try and get this help, and then you do take matters into your own hands, well, there's a record.
Then you're covered.
Then you're covered.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yo, definitely. Because this is that, and that's why it's like a super tricky situation because like
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have a chance to like wait or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like this person could be crazy because there's a lot of crazy people out here that will do something. You know, and then there are situations where a person could actually perceive like or feel like they're in danger. Even though they may not necessarily be, you know what I'm saying? And then there are situations where a person could be angry with somebody and try to use this against them at the same time or for leverage in a divorce or a custody battle or something, you know what I'm saying? Like there's all these situations, you know, and then most of the time the court system doesn't help either one of us, you know, and we both end up screwed, you know what I'm saying? So like what kind of like, but I mean that's good advice as far as like, you know, getting your protect, but it's like you said, at the end of the day, if you have to survive and to protect your children and to protect your whatever, you have to do what you have to do, you know what I'm saying? So like,
And I
hey, go
think
ahead.
too, like a lot of women have unfortunately been hurt, and they don't know how to respond afterwards, right? Or they don't know how to cope with it, so they end up hurting more men as a result, or they end up hurting the next men, or because you did this to me, like now I'm
Mhm.
gonna hurt you for real.
Right.
Well, I'll say this, like I've like dated and this is like for me, like y'all was saying, because also with my attracting the wrong people in my life, you know, I've met women who have been violated when they were children, and then the parents don't even help them. In fact, blame them. So I completely understand, but then they become this person who doesn't trust anybody and who expects these things. And so, like, they will hurt you before they hurt, you know what I'm saying, before you hurt them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and all of that stuff is just like a whole tricky situation, you know, as just far as, you know.
Yeah, like this topic can go on for weeks, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so much to touch on and it's so many things that happen to lead up to things to allowing you to let it continue. Uh
Mhm.
and being in these type of situations, it's like going back to that grooming, right? Sometimes you're so used to it that you do end up getting into the next relationship and you think it's normal or you think it's okay.
Wow.
Can I ask you another question real quick?
Go ahead.
As far as because when you was like, you notice there's a difference in being able to date somebody who's in a more healthy situation. Can you talk about like it feeling uncomfortable for like people finally messing with somebody and getting treated like you're supposed to be treated, like you deserve to be treated, but it just doesn't feel right because you're so used to the trauma and stuff, but like, you know, some of the differences and like, you know, if you know what I'm saying.
For sure. Like I think it's like, for example, I mentioned earlier, like I don't remember the last time I walked my trash to the dumpster. My daughters that was living with me for how many years we were living with each other, and I would have to fight for you to take the trash out. And now I have a man that will willingly come over just to take the trash out for me, and I don't have to ask for somebody to do it. Um, the same as the way the person approaches you or treats you or talks to you, the way they value you. Um, Being able to say, hey, I do have this problem. I don't like that you do this, and that person can sit down and listen to you and wait for you to finish speaking and then have a response, and they don't have an excuse for what it is. They say they understand how you feel and they take that in and they start working on it, and you see those changes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you know, and those are the as we talked about like red flags, I guess they would call it like green flags, I guess.
Yes, green flags.
Yeah. So yeah, all that stuff is just important, you know what I'm saying? So like when first you have to understand your self-worth, your value and yourself, and you're going to attract the right people because you're going to realize your focus and your energy is so important that you can't waste it on somebody who is not worth it for whatever reason. It's not your
Absolutely.
fault, you know, that whatever they've been through in their life, wish them the best, you know, but it's not my problem because I have to focus on my self and to, like, you know, and my family to build myself up, and hopefully as a community we'll all build each other up. But
Exactly.
you know, at the end of the day, it's still putting yourself, your boundaries for yourself, because all of it starts, we can't even build a nation if we can't even take care of yourself. So it all starts with yourself first. So
Yes. And another way, um, another way, you mentioned if I was uncomfortable with, and if there was anything that made me uncomfortable with this new relationship, I would say, like, at first I was uncomfortable, like, do I want to bring this up? Like, do I want to tell him that I feel a certain type of way about this? Do I want to tell him that I don't like this? It was uncomfortable for me because in my last relationship it was a problem. If I was bringing something up, it was more as I'm bringing it up to make a problem or to cause a scene or to make something out of something. But no, I'm just bringing something up to advise you that I might not like something. What can we do to, make this better? Because I don't like it. I'm not trying to argue with you or cause confrontation. Um, so in this new little thing, right? I would always question, like, do I want to bring this up? Do I even want to talk to him about this? Um, Another thing with boundaries, right? It goes back to boundaries. I still haven't sat down to have a conversation to say, hey, what are we really? You know, like what are we? What are we working towards? What is this goal? And that's a problem that I'm having. And I talk to my TT about it all the time. That's a problem that I have with communication as well. Like, I don't think I'm ready to open up and have that conversation because I might be afraid of the answer that I'm gonna get. We don't talk about that either.
yeah, that's why these are important conversations. You want to say anything else, Consider?
Man, oh man, this is just, I love this. This is amazing. I want to just touch maybe just a little bit on family ties. I know it's getting late, but just let's touch a little bit, just a little bit on the family ties of it.
I would say definitely be careful who you mix your blood with. Um Rushing into a relationship that you don't know how it's going to go in the first place, um not knowing the family and where they come from and how they treat each other and what that background was, like, you really want to take your time to know that. Like, do you go around your family? Do you what How do you guys treat each other, right? Because now you're stuck with this family forever. Even though it's like, yeah, till this child is
Yes.
18. You want to be careful who you mix your blood with because you don't know what traumas and how they grew up and what they showed each other that's okay. Like, at the end of the day, you never know if there was something going on with the family and then there was a family secret and the family secret came out and now the whole family is messed up. And now it's a whole bunch of family drama or the way they were raised or that it's okay to steal. Like, you want to be careful with those type of things because that's all going to be passed on to your children.
Wow, I love it. That's so true. We have to slow down and stop rushing into these relationships and sleeping with the guy the same day. We'll meet a man today and next hour or 5 hours because gave you dinner and went to see a movie. Now you're in bed with him. No, we
Yes.
have to
Or because
start
you just feel so
understanding.
infatuated.
Yes, we have to start slowing down and looking at every single thing, you know, looking at if somebody tell you, hey, I don't like hot dogs, but then you see them chalking down five, that right
Mhm.
there, that raises my eyebrows right there. Hold on, you just lied. That's a character issue. That's integrity. That's an integrity problem.
Mhm.
So, but we have to watch that and be honest. Or if they told you a story and then they tell you another story tomorrow and you hear it a little different, you call that person out. I
It's
mean,
a
you
red
got to be
flag.
real with
Yes.
yourself also. You got to be real and say, now I know I heard him say so and so yesterday. Call him out and say, wait a minute, didn't you say blah 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 blah? And see what he say today. He probably wouldn't even remember the lie that he chose. So
And
now you're
that has
seeing
to
the
be
red flag.
normalized for
Uh huh.
real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna cost you a lot of friendships and relationships, but those are the ones you don't need. It is only making space for
Hey,
the ones you're supposed to have, you know.
that's right.
And
That's right.
we
But if you go ahead,
no, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
we also experience, you know, we also experience domestic violence with friendships. Like we have to normalize cutting off friendships that are not good for us too.
Mm-hmm.
I had
Um,
a best friend. I've been friends with her since the summer of going into the 5th grade of elementary school. We've been best friends ever since. I cut her off 2 years ago because at the time of need, when I needed you the most, you did me wrong. And there's not too many times that you can do that to me. And this was probably the
Mm.
second or third time
Wow.
you did that to me. Now I'm gonna
Mm.
tell you, hey, I love you. Your kids will always be my god kids. If they need anything, please call me. But this
Mm.
friendship cannot continue. To this day, it hurts me because that was my best friend ever. But I had to learn because I learned self-worth and self-value. You can no longer come into my life
Mm.
and step on me and act like you can just treat me and talk to me and do however you want to me, or tell me that, hey, I'm gonna do this, and this for you. And when it comes time for you to do that, you're not gonna do it. At a time that I was so vulnerable and I needed you and you were supposed to be there for me, you weren't. So we have to normalize
Wow.
cutting anybody off that's not good for you, because you're going to take that into your relationships, friendships. Oh, your friend can be hating on your relationship, which causes drama in the relationship too. So you want to keep your relationship private. Now, if it gets physical, yes, you want to speak up. But if you have a disagreement, that's normal. Don't go telling people your business.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. But I also want us to look at us, also, ladies, that if we are continuously to attract a certain type of man, then we have to start looking at us and not, because I had a really good friend at one time, and her and I worked together, and she kept talking about these certain men, and every man was beating her. And I just looked and I was like, hold on, you done told me about 4, 5 stories, and all of them ended in abuse. Okay, now it's time for us as women to look in our heart to understand what's going on with us that we keep attracting it. She got upset, but I said, I'd rather tell you that it's a you problem. It's a heart issue. It's a part in you that needs to be tweaked so that you don't attract those type of men. You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because sometimes we could have grown up, or our dad could be, abusive to our mom for one, or in that she's dating or bringing home were abusive to her, or you seen your uncles abusing women, or you seen your brothers abusing women. So you've seen that's all you've seen. So you begin to allow it or become abused, or you become an abuser. So
Yes.
you have to
And we don't
start
talk
tweaking
about
your
that a lot.
stuff. We never talk about that. We always talking about the man, what he did, what he did. Well, okay, what about you? What was going on in there for us to even attract that type of behavior in the first place?
Absolutely. And I can
And
say
that's
this,
what
and
we
I
don't talk
think
about. That's what we're not honest. Hmm.
right. One thing I could say though is I don't even think I've talked to my therapist about this. I probably haven't told anyone. This is probably going to be the first time that I say it. But you get so sustainable and you get so used to the abuse that how you said you become the abuser. I got so used to my abuser abusing me that I was ready to hit first, because I'm so used to you putting your
Wow.
hands on me and you coming to beat me or bite me or do
Mm,
this, that I was on go. I was always ready. It got to the point where
mm.
I was ready to swing first. And I think I've just now been able to probably admit that to someone, because we also don't get used to, like, again, I have to walk on eggshells. What is he going to do? Is he
Mm.
gonna come up? Is he gonna grab me from behind? Is he gonna hit me? Is he gonna throw me? What's gonna happen? So it's like you get on guard to the point
Mm.
where it's just like, oh, now you coming at me. Now I'm gonna swing on you first.
but think about it like this too, right? Like that means your body is constantly in a state of stress, you know. So like, which
Yes.
is going to affect your health in the long run anyway. So like you and being in these type of situations where it's constant anxiety and constant all of this stuff is only going to multiply the more energy that you put into anything. So when you in these situations, that means like you're in a constant, your body itself is in a constant state of fight or flight, you know what I'm saying, which is not
Right.
supposed to work that way. It takes a lot of energy and stress off of your body, which is going to start distracting you. You're not going to be able to focus and concentrate. And then, it just come a rabbit hole.
No, and that's very true. During these years, I was in and out the hospital a lot. Like you would think, a lot of people that were close to me. There's a lot of people that were close to me during this time, especially the year that got extremely worse, which was 2023 to 2024, where I met my TT Angie, and she's been like a super support system. Like you would never think that this lady has been the support system that she has been for me. Like I said, it's important to have someone to talk to. I only have my therapist once a week, right? And it's important to be able to let your thoughts and your feelings out. But with that being said, during that time that I went through all of that, it was more like I need someone to talk to. This is what's going to happen. But my body was under so much stress that if I didn't let it go, I was on go. But this lady witnessed me come to work with bruises and stuff because I was always on go. There would be days where I'd be like, I need to not go home today. I already know it's going to be something. My body already knew it. My body would know it by the time that I woke up that morning, that when I came home today, it was going to be an altercation. And I was so sick. Like I was in and out the hospital. I was in and out the hospital because my body was weak. I wasn't eating. I was smoking too much. You know, I actually lost my uterus. Like I had to get a hysterectomy because my body was so sick that I had a cycle for over 2.5 years, and I had to get blood transfusion, and I was on my deathbed because I was going through so much stress. Now I'm in a point in my life where it's like everybody's talking about soft girl era. I don't talk about it, but I have noticed that I'm flourishing in that era right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a fact. And then we already live in a society where it's constant stress and constant negativity.
Yes.
So half of the talking
Yes.
stuff that's in our head is don't even come from us. They come from like our parents, and they come from their
Mm-hmm.
trauma. They don't come from them even.
Yes.
Then people
Yes.
have think tanks to put us in these positions on purpose. So it's not your blame. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change all of this stuff. And the last thing I'll say is like pay attention to like how other people relationships end, because likely is going to end yours the same way.
Yep.
And the way
Yes.
that people treat other people, like somebody talking, oh, look at that person over there, they probably doing the same thing to you behind your back. But also how your relationships always end. Pay attention to your cycles too. And
Mm-hmm.
like, because I know this for me, like even dating girls are usually in after like 5 or 6 months until I had to stop and realize like what was going on with myself, and then I had to realize like you're going to therapy and like the way that I was thinking and the trauma that I had, you know what I'm saying? And then you get put like, because that's the only thing about it I would say is like, as a black man, like if a black man walking down the street punch somebody in the face, it's my fault. You know what I'm saying? So all of this stuff, like no matter what, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna be looked at as like I'm just as responsible. But like I have to learn how to love myself no matter what kind of images is put into my head, you know what I'm saying? It cannot and they did it on purpose because we are that
Mm-hmm.
powerful to where we can, like, if you're thinking in the
Yes.
right way, you're going to make the right decisions, which creates a better life for yourself, you know what I'm saying? So the constant stress is on purpose for us to be sick all the time and have diabetes. All this stuff is not natural and stuff, we
Right.
never deal with any of this stuff. But
You know what
so
else we don't talk about, coming from a man standpoint, because you have a lot of point of views as well, and some things that you have been through. We don't talk about that. Men go through the same thing, right? And it's how are we uplifting our Black kings, right? Our Afro Latino kings. How are we uplifting them? What are we doing to uplift them instead of bringing them down?
Yes.
Sometimes we don't look at that us as women do bring our men down. And a lot of times this is what causes them to go into the next relationship treating the next person a certain type of way because of what the last woman did too. And
Yes.
that's what I say about being a
Yes.
table, right? We're supposed to multiply and do things together. Um, and I feel like, what are we doing to bring our kings up? Because our kings got a lot on their shoulders too, and they go through a lot as well
Yes.
that a lot of people don't talk
Yes.
about.
Yes.
And I'll say this, right? Because I have talked to a lot of women. I'm not gonna say like they were because they had traumas and stuff, so I completely understand why they acted or did had the way they were, but then, like, once I start changing the way that I think, you start attracting better quality of people. But
Yes.
then you still mess that up because I met like good women and then probably hurt this person because I'm still like work like I'm not all the way there yet, I guess, and it's still a part of it that's still toxic, but like now I probably messed up and hurt with a good woman because of still dealing with all of this toxic stuff from
Yes.
my past. You know what I'm saying? So like, and it works both ways.
Yes.
So
It does.
Yes.
And the comment I have to that, right? Because the person that I'm talking to, I've had to be able to be open with him and let him know what I've been through so he can, not for you to experience like what I've been through, but I need you to understand what I've been through.
Yes.
So you can understand where
Yes.
some of my hurts or questions come from, right?
Yeah. You
And with that
recognize.
being said, I think I don't know about you, but were you able to sit down with this woman and tell her that, hey, I have been through this, but I am interested in you, but there's a lot that I'm working on right now that I can't provide 100% of myself for you, but this is still something that I want and possibly work on. Can we take this slow? Like I like where we're at right now, but I'm not ready for a relationship, but I do want to see this continue to go somewhere. I think we need to normalize also, or not even normalize, just are we comfortable enough to be able to tell our party that? And that's something that I had to be comfortable with, like telling this man, like, hey, I've been through this, this, and this, and I don't like this, this, and this. This is what I'm looking for, but I'm not in a rush for it because I did come out of something crazy. Are you able to accept that and come back to me with something and to where you respond like, hey, I came out of something crazy too. I like where we're at. It's healthy. Let's continue to go and move forward and see where it goes.
Yes.
yeah, no, that's a good point because it's the communication part that's important. And I will admit, for me, I like the person knew everything that I was going through or whatever, what I'm saying, but I still, I guess, did stuff to sabotage it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like
That makes sense.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, because I still need therapy and to like better myself too, you know what I'm saying? I understand the mistakes that I made and that I understand each step, and like each point of growth that I can make, you know what I'm saying? Because the person was there to like listen and
Mhm.
try to be patient, but there's only so much patience. Like nobody's ever gonna be patient with you as much as you can be for yourself. So like, and I can't blame anybody for that. I can't make anybody be patient
Mhm.
until I be in the right state of mind. So
Mhm.
I'm not putting more trauma onto somebody else because somebody else did something to me, but it's really me, doing it. You know what I'm saying?
If that ain't the truth, you have to have, I get so frustrated with myself sometimes. I had made a point earlier about talking about the anger and disappointment that you had for yourself, right? During my time of isolation, there would be days where I would get pissed. Like I would be driving and out of nowhere, like I would just have a thought about something that happened. For instance, one of my parts of abuse was all of my stuff getting destroyed time and time and time again. And I would sit there and be like, you know how much money I've ran through that I can't even show for, how much stuff I bought, how much stuff my parents bought for me and put in my house, and this man destroyed everything. I would be so furious and mad. I would be raging inside and I would be crying. Like, and then you're and what I was really angry was I was angry at myself. I was mad at myself. I was disappointed at myself because I allowed
Mm.
that to happen.
Yeah, but the harshest critic that people usually have is yourself. But once you are no longer your harshest critic, then you in a spot that you need to be in, you know.
Right.
And you have to realize you got the rest of your life to love yourself and to build this relationship with yourself, and you discover who you are each day by each decision that you make, you know what I'm saying? So you could pick who you want to be and then make decisions that line up with that, you know what I'm saying? So like that's why we have to be more healthy in our community so that we not starting from such a far back, you know. Like I'm angry that it took me to like my 30s to realize childhood traumas, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
we don't, like, we can start now, especially with the knowledge that we have, to not put our children in a position where they're at least set back, you know what I'm saying? We can give them the tools that they need right now, but it also starts with who we marry, because as a child, you're gonna see, as a boy, I'm gonna see how my dad treat my mom and how my mom treat my dad, and I'm gonna try to find a woman to do that, and I'm gonna treat them probably like how my dad treated my mom. But then also, you don't even know if this person got like autism in their family history. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know anything about this person until you be in certain situations with this person. So that's why we got like creating legacies, so we don't continue to pass down all of these traumas that we keep passing down, and one of us gonna have to take the hit and go through the traumas and heal it. So why not us, you
Yes.
know, right now, you know?
Exactly. And I think that's one of my biggest obstacles is healing from the years of traumas that I went through so that I don't take it out on my kids, because I'm not going to lie. You know, just getting them back after years of not having it, it's like having a baby all over again. And it's like I suffer from postpartum depression. And some
Mhm.
people might not understand that because it's like you didn't just have a baby. But I haven't had my kids for 3 years and I'm just now getting my daughter back, and it's like you're getting a whole brand new baby because you have to train this child all over again and show them structure
Yes,
and show them
all over
everything.
again.
And
Mm.
they're resenting you because of what you allowed them to go through. I will never forget the day that I had an incident that happened at the house and my daughter was there, and I was so bruised up that I got in the bathtub, and my daughter told, I will never forget this. My daughter was probably 3 or 4. My youngest daughter that's with me now. She was like 4 or 5. And she said, Mommy, I told you 1,000 times I don't feel safe here. I want to leave. And you don't care. You're just sitting in the bathtub. When that girl told me that, I immediately got out the bathtub and I left because my daughter wasn't safe. And for her to say that at that time
Wow.
was crazy for me. And I think we need to normalize, like, if we do have kids and we are coming out of relationships like that, when you get into the next stage and you know what your boundaries are, don't let anyone cross those boundaries. And when they do cross those boundaries and you have to cut them off, or you have to just deal with them in a
Yeah.
different way, don't go back, because that's you starting to let it be okay. You did it
Yeah.
once. I forgive you. You're gonna do it again. You know, don't antagonize me. Don't try to belittle me. Don't try to make it seem like I did something to you and I didn't, or you want to be the victim, or this and this and that, because your kids are gonna start seeing that again, and they're gonna be like, "Oh Lord, here we go again."
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
facts.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, this was definitely a very good conversation, and this is definitely going to be a thing that we keep talking about. You know, there's a lot of people
Yeah.
don't want to talk about any of these conversations, but it's probably the thing that's going to help us the most. You know what I'm saying? Because once we start thinking differently, like I said, we'll make different decisions, and we'll be a lot better off. You know. So I appreciate it. And I'm glad, consider you brought Heidi through, and it was great talking to you. You know, I don't want to keep you here all night, you know.
No, I
So
appreciate it.
You're
Definitely, like
amazing.
I said, it can go on for weeks and weeks because there's just so many topics to touch on.
Yeah.
And it gets deeper than that, and it's more sensitive. So
Mhm.
like some people have to be ready to listen to gruesome facts and things
Yes.
that happen. Because the true life is that it happens. You would
Yeah.
never think it happened to you. It would happen to you, but it does.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we just need to learn how to cope through it and take the experiences that people have been through, so that we can notice those same red flags if it happens, so that we can avoid it. because I would hate for anyone to, you know, lose their life or go through what I had to go through. Some people get their kids taken away and don't get them back. Sadly, some people choose the abuser over the children.
Yes.
So that's, you know, some things we're trying to avoid it and get out.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know, and we about to go, but it's something that you said, you know, because how with the things that we have normalized, right? Because like my parents been married for like
Mm.
47 years, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when I was young, like they would get into like physical fights, like real fights, you know what I'm saying? And I remember going to therapy and my therapist was like, "Oh, it was a brother." He was like, "Yo, you had like a traumatic childhood." I'm like, "No, you know, my parents would fight sometimes. I mean, like they would throw stuff and like, you know, break bottles and like fight and destroy the house, like a physical fight." He was like, "Yo, that is trauma. Like you're not supposed to see that type of stuff."
That's
But to
Mhm.
common.
me,
Yeah.
it was normal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like,
I
but
watched a video in domestic violence class because they made me take it, and it says that anything as little as throwing a plate on the ground is domestic violence.
yeah,
Wow. And how many people don't know that? And we're
Yeah.
going to talk about next week the signs of domestic violence, like stuff like that you wouldn't even think, because a lot of times we're living in it. We don't even know we're in it because it's normal. So
Mm-hmm.
this needs to be a part two, seriously, of choosing choosing the abuser. Like you said, you choose some women choose the abusers of their children. That's a
Mm-hmm.
great topic for next week. We need to talk about that and
And I
more
live
details
that.
as
I
far as
live that
you
per
know.
experience. Not to say that I chose my abuser, but
Wow.
I did live that because I was trying to keep my family together. Again, that's a topic for next week, but that's a good note to leave it on.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you, Heidi. I thank you for coming on here tonight. You know, I
Yes,
appreciate you.
Heidi. Thank
Of
you.
course. Thanks for having me. I look forward to next week.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
amazing.
And y'all definitely
Yes, same
support
time,
Cassidra.
8:30, same time. We're gonna go do.
Yeah, yeah, I support Realm in the Bush organization, everything Cassidra is doing. You want to say anything else, Cassidra?
Man, hey, that was perfect. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing. And I know it took a lot to do that, but we do
Yeah, thank you.
appreciate you sharing that. And now we can't wait for the book, Heidi. Can't wait
Yes,
for the book.
we're going to work on it. We're going to work on it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, we're definitely going to buy the book. But
Yeah.
I appreciate all of y'all for listening. And they be quiet because they scared to talk about this stuff. This is why I got Cassidra on here. But they be listening, but they be scared. So don't worry about the chat and all that. So shouts out to everybody who was listening. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.
Peace, family.